Okay, I'm looking at WFC short here. It's making another nice triangle. Missed it a few times earlier on, but I want to short it underneath the whole number here. Uh, risking about, looks like I'm risking about 8 cents now. No, it'd be 9 cents to hit the low of the day here. There were a ton of buyers there at 53.01, but it looks like they're gone now. About to hit 53. Okay, I got filled at 99. Wow, look at that snapback. Okay, so we found a lot of buyers down there. Stop loss will be a close below or above the 9. You see I kept redrawing it tons and tons of times to try and really figure out which pattern it's sticking to. And so far it looks like this one might be the right one. But I mean, there's a few it could obviously go to. So I'm struggling at this too. And of course, open my mouth and that's where the pop comes. Jeez. Alright, well, that's gonna squeeze me out. Okay, I'm looking at AAOI here. It could honestly go either way at this point. For a short, I've been looking at it for a short for a while now, but it keeps hovering around this area, and I'm interested to see how it acts at the 50 here. I will take it long at 40 if it gets up there, but at the same time I want to take it short if it gets down around this 13 area. The long sets me up for a better risk reward, but the short just looks better in general. Because on the long side we also have the 9 EMA catching up here, and right now it's at 67, so my profit target would be at 67. But I just keep having to switch these shares over and over again. Here, I can do that. Because it could just go right back up to that 50, tap it, and come right back down like it did here. I don't want to get in just on a break of the pattern here. It might just reset the pattern and make a new pattern. What I'd really like to see it do though is kind of hold this trend line here. We're getting closer. Either way, short or long, my risk is going to be about 46.30 here. We also just started a new 5-minute candle. Oh, wow. Well, I didn't have a stop limit order in, obviously. I don't think stop limit orders work with a circuit breaker, but maybe that's only short. Maybe they do work to the long side. What in the world? Hopefully it comes back. Doesn't look like it's gonna though. Spread's tightening. Yeah. There it goes. That is my third missed trade today. Oh well. I'm gonna be done trading for the day. I feel like I'm trading on tilt right now, and it just kind of sucks. So I'll be back in a second, and I'm gonna do a recap. Okay, just doing a quick review of the WFC trade. I wrote down, I only had a 3 confidence rating on it, so I was kind of really iffy on it from the beginning. Definitely made a really nice pattern. I mean, the moving averages are catching up. The 20 is kind of far away, so it's not really being guided by it. But the trend lines are helping out, and the 9's helping out. But the only problem was this whole number, so I wanted to catch it right on the break of the whole number. So get in. Thing pops down to 94. Okay, so we got all the way to 92, and then we see all those buyers. And then immediately this thing turns right around against me and puts me right back at break even. You know, I mean, and the next tick, this thing just turned all the way around against me. That's just, I don't know, it's not enough to take my my partial here, and I think I just got kind of screwed, really, in the sense that it just popped up, you know, 8 cents. Like, just looking over here, the time in sales, and let's go before this. So I mean, you see it's printing all these, and then all of a sudden, the next split second, we're back up 9 cents. And then it's still kind of hovering around. I still like it, still holding on to it, but then the next candle is where it's going a little too fast. As soon as that next candle forms, this thing starts squeezing up immediately, back up above the whole number. And then the problem really happens whenever, I don't know, because it didn't move enough for me to say, okay, let's just exit the trade and, you know, retake it again later if it sets up and take the really tiny loser. I still held on to it because you can see from the level 2 here, I mean, the numbers look really good still, but then it just pops up and it squeezes me really hard here. I think what I should have done is after this candle, because this is bullish engulfing, I mean, it, you know, covered the move of the last 2 candles on the breakdown like that. So I mean, if an area gets rejected that hard, I think that's something that I need to pay attention to and recognize. Plus it still closed above the 9, which was where my stop loss was, and of course didn't obey that rule, and I just wanted to wait and see what happened, especially with the 20 coming up. I mean, it starts squeezing me even more, breaks above, and then I finally cover at the high of the move there at 12. Ended up being a $65 loser, what could have been maybe a $40 loser. You know, once again, not sticking to my rules for my stop loss costed me, instead of $15, cost me $25 this time. It wasn't a bad setup, just the way that the trade went. Should have been a small loser. Not really too much else to say about it. I mean, it was a good setup, but just because it's a good setup doesn't always mean that it's going to be a good trade necessarily. So, then for the weekly recap, overall I made 43 bucks, but paying 37 in commissions, so I made $6 this week. Still profitable, but obviously not much at all. I mean, it wasn't a bad week of trading. It's just, it wasn't really that slow. It was just, for today and yesterday it was pretty slow, but the first 3 days of the week it wasn't that bad at all. And definitely a lot going on. I mean, my goals this week were to have a set defined stop loss and stick to it. Broke that one today, but other than that, I was doing really good on that one for the rest of the week. RR every trade, record my profit target. Definitely did that. You can see my profit target, new column here. Set up a target RR, average is a 2 to 1 right now. And then I had proper position based on risk, profit target, moving averages, using half size when half size is called for. Definitely did that again this week too. So hit 2 out of 3 of my goals, and one of them I only messed up once. Mistakes that I made last week were didn't use proper size, didn't use proper time frame, didn't stick to stop loss. Made that again today. Not taking good risk reward trades. Risk needs to be tighter on wedges. Didn't use half size to start, wrote it into the 50 moving average, and didn't exit after the 50 held, and didn't exit after it closed above the 9 and the 20, and didn't stick to my 5-minute stop loss. So 50% of the trades were winners, winning 3 of the days. Only didn't trade yesterday. Really, there's only thing I can do right now is just go over a review, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not gonna see that much this week, but I say that every week, and something always happens. So, first trade that I took on the week was ATVI. So I got in half size here. No, looks like I took a trade and it failed, and then I retook it again later for a long and got a winner out of it. So I was looking for 60.80, and I got in at 61.09 with a risk of 61.20. I'm definitely looking for the break underneath the VWAP here. I'm trying to short this, and it already looks good for a long, as opposed to a short. So I get filled at 9. Immediately turns around against me. Kind of hovering around in my favor. Could be setting up for a move again. Volume looks good. It's growing. It looks like it just keeps pushing higher and higher. And it looks like I covered it at 25. So definitely bigger than what I wanted it to be. I know I always want to wait for it close, but this thing squeezed pretty hard against me here. See, that volume's going crazy. Now it looks like I want to long at over 28 because all these moving averages caught up underneath it. So maybe I shouldn't have even taken that first trade in the first place, because I am fighting against the VWAP and the moving averages, because the 20 just caught up, and it's not like the 20 was acting as resistance for me. Instead it was acting as support, and I was trying to short it underneath that on a breakdown underneath. I'm wondering if there must have been some kind of daily level. 61.26. Okay, 61.26 was a, I guess from the start of the day, 26 would have been a support, but I mean, it was hovering around that 26 for a long time here, acting as both support and resistance. So in that sense, the daily level could have helped me for a short in this case, but at the same time, just looking at it, you know, obviously it just looks better for a long. I don't know. I don't really know if I should have taken that first trade. So that was 10-9. So this will be 16. Oh, so let's see. I was thinking about a short right about here. When I was thinking about this for a short, it still looks better for a long because the price is already above the VWAP, and for some reason I'm trying to short it as it breaks VWAP. And even if it breaks VWAP, that doesn't mean anything because it's got to close and hold below VWAP for it to really mean something. So I think I'm taking unnecessary risk on that. I kind of traded against the pattern. It wasn't the best short, but it definitely looks better for a long. I filled the 200, and I mean, there's where the real move is. Squeezes all the way up. I don't know. Looks like I took half at 44. Need to recheck my profit target. Profit target was 61.50 with a risk of 15, and I was in at 30, so I was risking 15 cents to try and make 20 cents. What am I clicking? There we go. Definitely squeezed up right up to that 50. Gets to 48, 47, 43, and then as it pulls back, I'm taking profits of 44. Not a bad idea. Even if it doesn't reach, you know, the exact, if it gets that close, I definitely need to be taking profits, especially on a move like that happens that quickly. And the plan for the rest of the partial is to just let it ride. Wait and see how it acts around the 9 if it ever gets there. Wow. Immediately this thing decides to shoot up really high, getting up into the 70s. But I already took my partial, which I can't blame myself for. I mean, you don't really expect these kinds of things to happen. You know, if it happens, that's obviously great, but the chances of having, you know, your full size still on after even a move like that, I just don't think that's gonna happen that often. So my max favorable was 71. This thing got up to 71. So my max P&L could have been 82. So I guess I missed out on 30 bucks on this trade. I took another partial at 64. And then I am all out at 67. So turn my day green. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm just looking at other stuff here. I mean, if I wanted to wait until this thing closed, I would have, you know, I would have lost a lot of money. I would have almost exited break even again. So second trade was definitely a lot better than the first trade. The first trade really shouldn't have even happened. Alright, so looking at NVIDIA, shorten it on asymmetrical triangle, 75 shares. In at 190.50. Risk is 191 at the whole number. And my profit target is about 75 cents away. 55 to 75, so it's about 80 cents away. So I'm risking 50 to make 80, not the greatest. So I'm trying to short this at 50 here, another break of the pattern. Definitely a good short. 50 is just catching up underneath it. NVIDIA has support at 190, 120, which is exactly where the view app is, so it's definitely a pretty good looking trade so far. It's only up 3%. It's not like it's crazy overextended or anything. On the daily it's overextended, but not as of the short term. I mean, this is a pretty good looking short. I got out about 20 cents off of where I entered, so I'll just have to see what happens here. It's NVIDIA, it's high price, so I know the spread can get a little crazy sometimes, but right now it looks pretty good. It's only about 10 cents in some cases. So it looks like I'm about to get filled.
SLTA.
Just squeezing tighter and tighter, still holding below the moving averages. And I am in. I'm in, but there's no real big move. And if there's no real big move, something that I've learned just from this week, even of last week, if there's no real big move, it's like ATV I had, it's probably not the move, so it's probably gonna reset and it's gonna make the real move later on. So in this case I should be thinking, alright, I got in, it broke out of the pattern, it broke underneath 50. Did it? That's 90.50. I mean, it's been below 50 before. So now it's making a move.
SLTA.
But I guess it isn't much of a move. You know, I think this was actually the trade where I was telling myself, you know, it's more of like a one-to-one kind of trade, because sitting and looking at these moving averages, and then it's got to break through the whole number there, plus the 5-minute 9 EMA is probably catching up fairly soon. Yeah, it's probably only a good one-to-one. Thing turns right back around. Still pushing down. Not looking bad. Came to retest the 9. The problem with that candle is it's a doji. Anytime I see a doji on these kinds of trades that I'm trying to make, is they move fast and they make big moves. So if they don't move fast and they don't make big moves, and the next candle is a doji, then I should be looking to exit the trade. But at the same time, you never really know. Oh, and I just pretty much stopped out of that one after it squeezed up that much. You know, that's not a bad idea. Let's see, because this stock was at, oh, well, apparently it did turn around and move right back underneath 190. Before I go into this trade, I actually want to see. So yeah, I made that doji, came up, retested VWAP, and then it really broke. Because if I redraw this, you can still see that it's making that triangle. So this is where the real move would have been. I guess I wasn't paying attention to it at the time, because that could have been the trade. I want to try and find this. So this was on the 10th. So it's right here. So I took it right here underneath the break of this pattern. Yes, it was this one. That does not look right. Why does that not look right? Huh. Lightspeed and TradingView have different charts for this, but essentially it's still the same thing. Took it underneath there, came back, retested the VWAP, and then it really made the move. So if I just redrew this, that's where the real move came in. I could have taken, you know, half size around here under the break and then added underneath the whole number, and that's where the real move came in. Why did it send me all the way to September 20th? Good. Okay, and this is what the 5-minute looked like. So yeah, the 5 wasn't even close during that time, but here's where it obviously bounced off of. So that was a real trade. So the mistake was not waiting for the real move. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the trade that I took. It's just, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the real move to come. Next we're looking at NTNX. I longed it here. I longed it on a bull flag. So risking 15 cents to try and make. I should make another column. Cents at risk. And then I don't know the hotkey for the alt key for cents, but profit target cents. I'll have to find it later. Anyways, so I got in at 85. Went to the whole number as they usually do, and I let it run 12 cents against me, and I got out at 12 cents. So I got out just a little bit before my ultimate risk. So I got an 85. Kind of a ascending triangle. It's not an ascending or a rising wedge. It's still a triangle. Thing pops up. What did I want my profit target to be? I wanted it above at 26.05. But I mean, any whole number, any time, any trade, a whole number is always going to be a point of support or resistance, or a place just to take profits. I wrote down it was a bull flag. I didn't write down anything that it was by. Oh, I saw something there. Huge number. And it didn't break it. So off of that huge number, because how much was that? That is 50,000. So this is like, this is 70. It was about 70,000, 75,000 shares. And this thing recently, obviously trading 150 and about 100, but it's gonna need an extra 70 on top of that. so it's going to have to beat all these candles, and it's going to have to get the kind of volume that it got, you know, early in the day. And since it's later in the day, most of the time you're not going to see that kind of stuff. So after I saw that, that's a good spot to take profits. That's where I need to be looking to exit, because right now I'm holding, waiting for it to break the whole number, and it's going to need a lot of volume to break that whole number. You can see the numbers decreased here, but oh, did it break it? It did break it. Okay, so it did get through, and there's the volume, obviously. But it got rejected pretty hard. Still coming back, though. And then that's where things went bad. Alright, so another situation I'm looking at, you can see the candles obviously getting stuck at the whole number, and then it broke out, and then we have a bearish engulfing candle here. So obviously not a bullish sign. Need to think about taking profits there. Instead, my plan was probably just to wait and see what it did at if it closed below the 9 or not. And it is kind of bouncing off. I think another one of my problems is I'm trying to make my full size catch the full move of the trade, and in most of my trade that's never happened. And obviously you would want full size to catch the full move of the trade, but you know, how often is that actually going to happen? Almost never. You always want to be trying to find a spot to take profits, and in this case it was definitely at 26. And again, we closed below the 9, but we're still in the pattern, and it's still bouncing off. It's making a bullish engulfing candle here. Come back up, but again, there's still sellers up there. It's almost like a refreshing sellers scenario here, and this thing just turns all the way against me. So I had plenty of opportunities to take profits on this. But I'm still holding on. And then now's where it's starting to make a bearish pattern, and it's getting ready to break out underneath the bearish pattern. So now I really need to be looking to get out. Another thing that I noticed this week is that pretty much any and every symmetrical triangle, at some point in the very near future that it breaks out of that triangle, is going to turn into a wedge, and it's going to turn into a pattern that isn't in your favor. So in this case, it was an ascending triangle, but now it's turning into a rising wedge. And you see that it's getting tighter and tighter. It's eventually just going to break down and snap right out of it. So, I mean, then I really let it go against me, and then it breaks the 20, and then I get out. So there were plenty of times to take profit targets. So the mistakes, whole numbers are profit target areas. I didn't really follow the candle pattern, or not the patterns, like the candle shapes, the candlesticks. Like here was the bearish engulfing, then we got an inside, and another bullish engulfing here, but I mean that just turns right back around. So pay attention to candle types.
Say NTM.
I mean, there's plenty of chances to take profits there. So if level 2 is showing tons of sellers, even if it comes back to that area, even if it breaks that area, comes back to retest, comes back up there to that area again, and there's still sellers up there, that's another sign that I need to be taking profits, that it's probably not going to have much movement after it. Okay, so I wrote level 2 showing sellers, broke through, retest lower, came back to the area, still sellers there, and I still didn't take profits. One's profit target areas. Okay. So now I'm looking at it for a wedge. I wrote down as a rising wedge on the 5s. Not 100% sure what happened here. Profit target was 25.92, so it looks like it did move higher later. So once again, same scenario here. This must be, oh, this is a whole hour later in the day, so this doesn't have anything to do with the trade that I was taking. So I took it here? No. What am I doing? Say this NTNX trade was half an hour earlier. So I'm here. I took it somewhere over here, so okay. This is the 26, broke through, came back. Something weird's going on. Was it over here? I don't know why I can't figure out where that last trade that I took was. Here's 26. Came up. And this had to be it here, but that's not 30 minutes, that's an hour ago. I don't know. Either way, this is where it was. The real move was up here. Still made that wedge, but it didn't really break out of that rising wedge at this time. So now it's getting ready to make the real wedge break. It's getting tighter and tighter. So right now we got to break through the 20 and the trend line, and then the first target is the 50, and I wrote that down as my profit target. Just kidding, I wrote down my profit target as 25.92, but I should be looking to take some profits around this 50 depending on how it acts. It could just blow straight through it, or it could bounce pretty hard off of it. So I was in at 13, in at 11, risk was 25 for each. Probably a close above the 20. I'm sure the 9's going to cross over with it though fairly soon. Oh wait, I don't see that. Come on. Okay, so with the 5s, we got the 12 to go through. Okay, so I took half my size underneath the break of the pattern, and then I took the rest of my size underneath the break of the 9. And then my ultimate profit target would have been about 95. At the time, this is 90, but given enough time, this is going to move higher, and we still got to deal with the whole number 2. So ultimate profit target's 95, but chances of us getting there, I wouldn't say is too high. I don't know, 15 seems kind of far away. Okay. So I got filled pretty quickly on both. It touched that 9 and came right back, but stop loss obviously it closed above those. So now we're at the 50, seeing how it acts at the 50. Broke through, kind of holding above right now. Okay, now it's really moving up. I'm starting to remember this trade. I remember it pretty much came up and touched that 20. I know that I still liked it because of how it was acting, so I knew my risk was up there, so I'm still waiting for it to get up there. I'm waiting for it to see how it acts at that 20. The candles don't look good right now. The candles look bullish, but I still wanted to give it that chance. And then we start really breaking underneath. So the real move came a little bit after it had to retest, which a retest is never a bad thing. But kind of determining where a retest means you should exit as compared to a retest where you should hold, that's totally situational. So then at the whole number, almost. Looks like I'm getting ready to buy half here. Broke right through the whole number. Got down well below my target profit. I did take half, okay. I took half at 94, but that was a really quick move. And then now it's making the really nice move down. Just have to see what it does. So I took another half at 88. And then usually just let the rest ride and see what it does. So I took another half down here. Nothing wrong with that. And then a big squeeze there. But you know, only holding 50 shares, I want to let it have that chance to really, you know, make an all day kind of move thing, and then it just squeezes above. And I covered it finally at 81, so that was a pretty good trade. I think the difference between this one is it initially made a fairly nice move, but it bounced off of the areas that it's supposed to bounce off of, and then it retests. And then, you know, during that retest is where I need to make a decision as to whether or not I want to exit the trade and look to re-enter later, or if I want to if I just want to bail the trade altogether, if I just want to hold and, you know, see if it makes a move like that. But obviously you can see, you know, it makes the hammer off of the 50, you know, it's fairly bullish, and then it comes back up. I don't know what it looked like with this Nvidia trade. You know, this Nvidia trade, it made that doji, and then it came up and squeezed me, and I exited, and there was nothing wrong with that. But I didn't hold on to it like I held on to NTNX. And then in this trade was just, I guess I was holding for that retest, but at the same time, you know, it's got a whole lot of retesting going on, and it's just making a new pattern. But in this case, I held on to it. I let it go against me, you know, $50, and it turned into like a $100 winner. So I don't know. But I think in this case it was kind of a situational thing. So I had that gut feeling that I really liked the trade and I wanted to hold on to it. And I guess on this NVIDIA trade, I didn't really have a lot of time to think about it. It's either, plus this early in the day, it's either going to go or it's not going to go. That's another thing that I've been noticing, is that the earlier in the day you are, usually the bigger moves, the bigger, quicker moves you get. So that was those 2 days. Then I took Juniper. So I am trying to short Juniper on the big symmetrical triangle. I remember I was watching this one for seriously an hour and a half, waiting for it to finally make, some kind of pattern. And here we finally are. You see the volume's growing, getting underneath the moving averages. Definitely a really good short setup. See, it's at 25.50 and the next support is 25.10. So hopefully I put that as my profit target. Profit target was 25.30, so I'm playing it even shorter. 25.30, so probably the low of this candle or somewhere around that area is where I'm thinking about it. So I'm trying to get in at 48. Risk 56, so I'm risking 8 cents to make 18. 8 cents to make 18, so yeah, 2.25, not bad. Usually $half are also a pretty good support resistance, so I got filled at 48. Nice move there. Still moving. Yeah, it's not really enough. So I'm looking for almost low of day there for a profit target. So we are still looking pretty good. A little bit of a bounce back. Kind of struggling around the 40. It's slowly creeping up to the 9, and I like that, because if it slowly creeps up to it, that's okay. But I mean, if it, if on the first candle it turns around and comes right back to the 9, that's a problem. I don't mind a slow retest like that. That's almost to be expected. But if it immediately gets bought up really quickly as soon as it hits that area, that's when you want to rethink the situation. So there's the turnaround. Moving lower. Level 2 looks good. Took half there. Definitely, that's a good idea. Because if it's getting underneath that area and it's not, breaking harder, even farther, it's a good idea to take profits. So that was good. I still got 250 shares. Still looks good though. The 9's holding. And then we get a really nice big move there. And again, you know, obviously you want full size, but same situation. It's just not gonna happen every single time. I didn't take another partial down there. I think I'm still waiting to see what it does with the 9's. Oh, I really missed it. Weird. I just clicked the buy all button right there. I don't know, I guess it was just waiting a little too long. I didn't want to mess with it. So I took it down there. I think I finally covered somewhere about here. So if I did wait for the 9, I would have lost a couple more pennies. No big deal. But, you know, it's still kind of, yeah, still kind of struggling around that area. So I had the right idea with profit target, definitely 30. And I took my profits where I needed to. So that was a good trade. Not a huge winner, but I definitely traded it the right way. And then we already went over WFC today. What would I say about the WFC trade? So I made a really quick move, bounced straight back. The next candle engulfs that move completely and totally, and I sit and let it wait and run against me. So mistakes. After breakdown, next candle engulfed move, and I didn't exit and reassess. So that WC should have been a smaller loser. It probably just couldn't have been a winner. I would have, being only up, what, maybe 10 cents? Not even 10 cents. Probably like 8 cents or something. 8 cents, and I mean, in the blink of an eye, it just immediately gone. So 7 cents and immediately gone. That's just not going to be enough for me. I wanted to see it below this 90 here, because you can see that's where these bodies closed, and it got close to it, but it turned around so fast, it just wasn't going to happen. So, mistakes I made this week: traded against the pattern, not waiting for the real move. Whole numbers are profit target areas, and I wasn't looking to take profit around them. Pay attention to candle types. There were plenty of times where the candles were telling me, hey, this isn't that good of a long anymore or a short anymore, so started thinking about getting out. Level 2 showed sellers, broke through, retested lower, came back, and there were still sellers there, and I still didn't take my profits. So really the big mistakes this week was I didn't take profits when I needed to take profits. Or I didn't cut when I needed to cut the loss. You know, going back and looking at it, you can see that there's times where, you know, yeah, I can hold and wait for a retest, but if the initial move, everything is based off the initial move, and if the initial move isn't exactly what you want it to be, then why do you want to sit around and wait to see if it'll slowly get there? Because, you know, all of the good trades all my best trades, they make a really fast, quick move. It's always big volume. So if it doesn't have that, then, you know, that's when I already immediately need to be thinking, okay, I need to either take profits or I need to cut my losses if it does this or that within the next however many minutes, usually pretty quickly. So goals for next week: take profits when told to, and cut losses when told to. I need to recognize whenever the trade that I have taken isn't the best. So really, trade management is what I need to work on for this next week. But again, same as last week, just a huge learning experience. I fixed 90% of the mistakes that I made, the week before. So always making progress every week. I listen to a Chat with Traders interview, and every time I think about it, it's like trading is just, you have all of these mistakes or problems or what he calls fires around you at all time, and every single week you're trying to put out those fires, and then other fires start burning a little brighter, and then you gotta fix those, and then it's just like a continuous cycle of trying to put out fires and make your trading a little bit better. But not too bad. I'll be back again next Monday, and thanks for watching.